We got to ride the Honda CRF300L a lot in Canada recently. The good news? It can wheelie. I reviewed the 250 model last year, and the bigger engine does make a difference. It's still very user-friendly, especially for beginners, but it does have that extra punch. The Traction E-Rag guys have a pile of Hondas in their fleet, so it was a good chance to ride and review them. I must admit, I've got a soft spot for Hondas. I grew up with a Honda 50, XR75, XL100, XL125, XL175 and TLR250. A quick history. The CRF250L was released in 2012 and very little changed for a while, just the usual bold new graphics each year. But 2017, a few engine tweaks gained 2 more horsepower, and the CRF250 Rally was released with a large fuel tank, rally fairing and longer suspension. 2021, the 250 was replaced by the CRF300L, which was upgraded to meet the Euro 5 emissions standard. It gained more power, lost 5 kilograms or 11 pounds in weight, and had slightly different steering geometry. The first 5 gears were closer together, then 6th gear effectively became an overdrive. There was a corresponding rally model too. As usual, we will look at the positives, the negatives, and how it compares to the competition. But our quick summary: a very cheap dual sport bike that does its job on dirt roads or the highway very well. It has Honda's rock solid reliability, and it's so cheap you can spend money on upgrading that very average suspension if needed. Off-road performance. A few years ago we rode the CRF250L, and the extra power of the 300 is definitely a plus, even for beginners. It's still a very gentle, linear power delivery and won't get you into trouble, but once you hit the higher revs, the little Honda moves along quite well. The handling on dirt roads is fine, with plenty of stability if hitting loose gravel. Like most dual sport bikes, the suspension is very basic and soft. We think it's acceptable for cruising along dirt roads and tracks if you weigh less than 90 kilos or 200 pounds. But heavier riders will want stiffer springs at the very least. And any aggressive riding will require stiffer springs and revalving, especially the rear shock, where you will find the limits very quickly. In rougher terrain, the low seat height is great, but like most fuel-injected bikes, the throttle response can be jerky at lower revs. More on that later. The closer gear ratios for the first 5 gears works well, especially for off-road. The cable clutch, very light. It'll be appreciated by beginners and experienced riders. It ain't an enduro bike though. With a full tank, it weighs 140 kilos or 309 pounds. On-road performance. The CRF300L is surprisingly good on the highway compared to other 250 dual sport bikes. You have a bit of extra power for overtaking. It can comfortably handle the very tall 6th gear and keep the revs down. Some riders actually felt 6th gear was too high, but there's plenty of scope to change gearing due to that overdrive 6th gear. It would definitely be a fun commuter if needed, although the snappy throttle at low revs could be annoying at low speeds. Longer trips, the seat obviously much better than an enduro bike, but we found it gets uncomfortable after about 2 hours. An aftermarket seat would be advisable if you plan on long rides. The engine. Honda has had years to fix problems, and it's now incredibly reliable. 0 problems for the 300s in this fleet. We scoured the forums and could only find one known issue. Coolant might drip from a weep hole with prolonged aggressive riding. It's normal, just remember to monitor your coolant if you are screaming the engine all day. Big oil capacity, long oil change intervals. What about that jerky throttle response with the fuel injection system, which some riders find annoying? It's due to emission restrictions. It can be improved by removing excess slack in the throttle cable. Some owners buy the stock ECU from Thailand, which is not restricted. Another option is have your ECU reflashed by 550 Performance for US $300. You will also get more power, but of course your fuel economy will drop. The general consensus, this is a better modification than a louder exhaust. Another option is a G2 throttle tamer, a cheap solution that transformed the throttle response. Some owners fit aftermarket air filters, but others say that fuel injection tests have shown this is not needed. The stock air filter works well. The suspension. As mentioned, we think it's adequate for everyday riding if you aren't too heavy, but the lack of adjustment is a real shame, and many feel Honda should have provided adjustment and just raised the price a little. You can easily spend loads of cash with various upgrades from Race Tech, K-Tech, YSS, Ohlins, Wilbers and Hyperpro. My opinion, why not put that extra money into a CRF300L instead, which has infinitely better suspension and way more horsepower? I think it's better to look at budget modifications first. Quite a few owners say a thicker fork oil can make a big difference for the front, and just add stiffer springs if it still feels too soft. The rear shock, find the cheapest valve kit possible and fit this along with a stiffer spring. Just do your own research, there's plenty of discussion out there. Let us know about your mods and the cost. Overall quality. While Honda still makes a lot of its premium models in Japan, the CRF300L is made in Thailand along with many other Honda bikes. The good news is their quality control appears to be excellent in the Thailand factory. I scoured the forums, and the only quality control issue that appears regularly is the thin paint on the frame. Some owners complain that their legs wear through the paint after a while. The Honda CRF300L bikes we rode have a lot of mileage already, and the mechanic reported 0 issues with overall quality. Lightweight adventure bike. Plenty of riders use 250s for adventure riding. The overdrive 6th gear and extra power with the 300 are great, but if you carry luggage, you will really need to look at upgrading that rear suspension at the very least. The really big feature here is the CRF300 Rally option. For a bit more money, you get the bigger fuel tank, fairing and more suspension travel. But of course, it's heavier and the seat height is taller. But there is no other manufacturer putting out a rally version in this class. Well worth considering. See our CRF250 Rally video. How does the CRF300L compare to other bikes in this class? Many regard the Honda as the best dual sport all-rounder in its class. But if you want something a bit more enduro oriented, the Kawasaki KLX 250 in Australia or KLX 300 in the USA is lighter and has soft but much better suspension because it's fully adjustable. If you simply want the lowest seat height possible, Yamaha has the venerable XT250, which has barely changed in the last decade. It's also the cheapest dual sport 250. How low can the price go? The Yamaha TW200 has an even lower seat height and lower price at US $5,000. It was discontinued a few years ago, but if you don't mind a very tall seat height and want the best power, suspension and braking, it's hard to go past the Yamaha RR250R. It was also a lot more expensive when available new, but there are probably cheap used models around nowadays. So, have you owned or ridden any of the 250 or 300 dual sport bikes? What did you think? Any mods? Are you thinking of downsizing to one of these pint-sized thumpers? Let us know in the comments.